Welcome back to the deep dive. We got a request from a listener, Elton, who asked us to look into a really important topic: breast cancer and diet.
Yeah, specifically for prevention and maybe even more critically, for preventing a recurrence.
It's a huge subject.
Hmm.
So before we get into any of it, we have to start with a really serious disclaimer.
We absolutely do. Look, we are going to be talking about research and studies, but, and this is the key thing, we are not doctors.
Right. This is not medical advice.
Not at all. If you are dealing with a cancer diagnosis, please, your oncology team is your first and final authority on everything.
Okay, so with that said, let's frame this. Elton's request gets at a really interesting point about the timeline of this disease.
It does. I mean, by the time a mammogram actually picks up a lump, that tumor could have been growing for years, even a decade.
So the mission today is to dig into the research and see if food can, change that timeline. Can it make the body a less friendly place for cancer to grow?
Exactly. A more hostile environment. And to do that, we should probably start with the things that seem to fuel the fire.
Let's do it. We have to talk about alcohol. The World Health Organization is not subtle on this.
Not subtle at all. They classify alcohol as a categorical human breast carcinogen. Full stop.
So there's no safe amount, really.
The data suggests not. It seems to increase estrogen levels in the blood, and high estrogen is it's fertilizer for a lot of these tumors.
But what about the red wine thing? I feel like that's the loophole everyone looks for. I saw a note that it contains an aromatase inhibitor.
It does. And aromatase is an enzyme that tumors actually use to make their own estrogen.
Oh.
So red wine has compounds that can block that. But, it's a classic double-edged sword. You get that inhibitor, but you're also getting the ethanol, the alcohol itself, which is the carcinogen.
Mm-hmm.
The consensus in the sources is pretty clear. The risk just outweighs that small benefit.
Got it. So not a health tonic. Speaking of risks in the kitchen, what about cooking methods? There were warnings about high-heat cooking.
Right, specifically charring meat. When you do that, you create these compounds called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs.
And those are bad because?
They're highly inflammatory. And a big theme in all this research is adopting a kind of general anti-inflammatory approach to eating.
Okay, so that leads us to the docs. If inflammation and high estrogen are the bad guys, what's the plan of attack?
Well, a lot of the sources point toward what's called the longevity diet. It's basically a whole food, plant-based approach designed to minimize something called IGF-1.
Insulin-like growth factor 1.
Exactly.
And that's the stuff that's great when you're a teenager trying to grow,
yeah,
but really dangerous if you're an adult with cells you don't want growing.
Precisely. High IGF-1 is like a green light for cells to multiply. And the best way to lower it, according to these studies, is a diet rich in plants and fiber.
And there was a specific number for fiber, right? Something like 25 grams a day.
Yeah, that seems to be the threshold where we see the risk drop in a really significant way. It actually binds to excess estrogen in your gut and helps, flush it out.
Let's get into some specific foods. I usually hate the term superfoods, but some of these really do seem to act almost like medicine. Broccoli, kale, the cruciferous vegetables.
Oh, this is fascinating. They contain a compound called sulforaphane. And in Petri dish studies, it doesn't just kill random cancer cells.
It does something more specific.
It specifically targets and suppresses breast cancer stem cells.
And that's a huge deal because chemo is great at killing the bulk of a tumor, but it's often the stem cells that survive and can cause a recurrence years down the line.
Right. They're like the beating heart of the tumor. So suppressing them with diet is, it's kind of the holy grail here.
Okay, we can't put this off any longer. We have to address the biggest controversy: soy.
Yes, the big one.
For years, everyone was told, don't eat soy, it has estrogen, it's bad for breast cancer.
It's such a persistent and, the sources argue, a dangerous myth. We looked at the LCE study, that's the Life After Cancer Epidemiology study.
And what did it find?
It found the complete opposite. Women who ate the most soy after their diagnosis had lower mortality and fewer recurrences.
How does it even work? It seems so counterintuitive.
Well, the isoflavones in soy are phytoestrogens, plant estrogens, but think of them like a key that fits in a lock but doesn't turn.
Okay.
They can sit in your body's estrogen receptors, blocking them. So the real, more potent human estrogen can't get in and do its damage. It actually has an anti-estrogenic effect in breast tissue.
That is a critical insight for Elton and for anyone listening. So you don't need to be afraid of tofu or edamame.
Not at all. The benefits we're seeing at levels like 1 to 2 servings a day, very achievable.
So when you zoom out, The diet for prevention and the diet to prevent recurrence look almost identical.
They really do. Lots of plants, high fiber, keep alcohol low or at zero. But there's a final piece to this that isn't about the food itself, it's about psychology.
The isolation factor?
Yes. The sources really highlighted how incredibly difficult it is for one person in a family, and let's be honest, it's often a mother, to completely change her diet while everyone else is still eating burgers and pizza.
It basically turns every single meal into a struggle.
It makes it almost impossible to stick with. So maybe the most important takeaway here isn't just about broccoli, it's about the family dynamic.
So if you have someone in your life, a partner, a mother, a sister, who's been through this or is trying to prevent it, you can't just watch them eat a salad while you have a steak.
Exactly. So the provocative thought we want to leave you with is this. The most powerful anti-cancer prescription might not be what she eats. It might be about what the whole family is willing to eat together.
Support isn't just a ride to a doctor's appointment. Sometimes it's just eating the beans with them. Thanks for listening.
Take care, everyone.